What does it mean when a nuclear-armed state of 26 million people begins positioning a teenager beside its supreme leader at missile launches and military parades? This video examines whether North Korea is quietly preparing its next ruler and why that possibility carries global consequences far beyond Pyongyang. If succession planning inside a heavily sanctioned nuclear state accelerates, it reshapes deterrence calculations in Washington, Seoul, Beijing, and Tokyo. If it stalls or fractures, the risk of instability rises in a country that possesses intercontinental ballistic missiles potentially capable of reaching the continental United States. Leadership continuity in North Korea is not symbolic. It directly affects war planning, sanctions enforcement, and diplomatic openings across Northeast Asia. At the center stands Kim Jong Un, age 42, recently reaffirmed as General Secretary at a rare Congress of the ruling Workers' Party, the first such gathering since 2021. The week-long event culminated in a large military parade in Pyongyang showcasing expanding weapons capabilities. State media images showed Kim alongside his teenage daughter, Kim Jong-un, both wearing matching black leather jackets while observing troops from an elevated podium. In a political system built on symbolism, visual alignment often signals hierarchy. Kim Jong-un is believed to be the second of 3 children and the only one publicly presented. Since her first appearance in late 2022 at a missile launch, she has attended high-profile events including New Year celebrations, weapons tests, inspections, and state ceremonies. South Korea's National Intelligence Service recently told lawmakers she appears to have entered what it described as a designation stage following years of private preparation. Officials cited her prominent placement in protocol order and her presence at the Kumsusan Palace of the Sun, the mausoleum honoring her grandfather Kim Il-sung and father Kim Jong-il, as indicators of elevated status. North Korea's political structure reinforces dynastic continuity. Founded in 1948, the state has been ruled by 3 generations of the Kim family. Power consolidation historically includes advanced signaling. Kim Jong-il was publicly elevated years before, assuming full authority in 1994, and Kim Jong Un was introduced to domestic elites before formally inheriting leadership in 2011. Each transition was carefully choreographed to minimize elite fragmentation within the party, military, and security services. The current Congress reaffirmed Kim Jong-un's authority during a period of heightened tension. State media reported that he pledged continued expansion of the nuclear arsenal and intercontinental ballistic missile programs. Analysts estimate North Korea possesses dozens of nuclear warheads and has tested multiple long-range systems over the past decade. In speeches, Kim indicated that military forces stand ready for any scenario while maintaining that improved relations remain possible if external pressure, particularly demands for denuclearization, are removed. That dual message blends deterrence with conditional diplomacy. Relations with South Korea remain strained. Kim characterized Seoul as his country's most hostile counterpart and warned that decisive action would follow perceived security threats. South Korea's government responded by reiterating its stated policy of peaceful coexistence. The rhetorical escalation occurs alongside ongoing US-South Korea military exercises and tightening sanctions enforcement targeting North Korea's weapons financing networks. Internationally, President Donald Trump has previously met Kim 3 times and has signaled openness to renewed engagement. However, no formal negotiations are underway. Sanctions imposed by the United Nations and additional unilateral measures continue to restrict North Korean exports, banking access, and technology imports. Despite this pressure, Pyongyang has accelerated missile development since 2017, testing increasingly sophisticated systems. Against this backdrop, Kim Jong-un's rising visibility acquires strategic meaning. Political analysts in Seoul argue that matching attire at nationally broadcast events is unlikely to be accidental. In tightly controlled media environments, visual messaging substitutes for formal announcements. Yet other experts caution that no official party title has been granted to her, and no Congress agenda included a successor designation resolution. Observers note that children appearing beside leaders do not automatically translate into imminent transfer of power. What if Kim Jong Un formally designates his daughter within the next few years? That scenario would likely trigger a structured loyalty campaign across the Korean People's Army and party bureaucracy. Elite cadres would align publicly, and propaganda organs would amplify her revolutionary lineage. Such a managed transition could stabilize the regime's long-term planning horizon, reassuring internal factions while signaling continuity to external adversaries. What if succession remains ambiguous and rival networks compete quietly behind the scenes? North Korea's opaque system makes factional conflict difficult to detect, but uncertainty could encourage risk-taking in foreign policy to reinforce domestic unity. Heightened missile testing or rhetorical escalation might serve as demonstrations of control during sensitive internal periods. China, North Korea's primary trading partner, would monitor any transition closely. Beijing prioritizes border stability and avoidance of refugee flows across the Yalu River. A predictable succession aligns with Chinese interests, while abrupt leadership disruption would complicate regional security planning. Japan and South Korea would recalibrate missile defense postures depending on perceived continuity or volatility in Pyongyang. Domestically, the Congress functioned as a reaffirmation ritual. An editorial in the state newspaper described Kim's leadership in superlative terms and projected a confident national future. Such messaging seeks to consolidate loyalty amid economic strain. Pandemic border closures, sanctions, and reduced trade volumes have constrained growth. Although precise figures are limited, satellite data and external assessments indicate periods of contraction over recent years. Kim Jong Un's appearances at missile sites and military displays also connect succession imagery with strategic capability. When a potential heir stands before intercontinental launches, the message integrates family legacy with deterrent force. The implication is that nuclear policy transcends individual tenure and rests within the ruling lineage itself. Still, institutional mechanisms matter. Previous transitions involved military rank assignments and party promotions. Until similar steps occur, analysts debate whether current optics represent preparation or simply symbolic reinforcement of family authority. North Korea's leadership has historically favored gradual normalization of successes within elite circles before any decisive declaration. Watch for concrete indicators, formal titles, expanded policy references, or shifts in state media framing. Stability in North Korea often depends less on public spectacle than on disciplined elite coordination. Whether Kim Jong Un becomes the fourth generation of dynastic rule or remains a symbolic figure, the choreography unfolding now will influence the security environment of Northeast Asia for decades.